This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, and verse 13. It reads, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." Shalom, shalom, Akim. Before I begin, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Machakorash. All right, double honor to the elders and apostles of the great millstone who rule and who teach us, who taught me this truth and sincerity. Peace, blessings, salutations unto the hopeful elect Wa'akwath who are listening in truth and in sincerity. Hey, I'm the brother Gabar Allah coming at you with another lesson. All right, and this lesson is going to be entitled You Have to Do It. Just like that. You have to do it. All right, and this is just going to be a quick little, just a quick hit, Lord willing, through the Spirit, man. Um, just through the Spirit just now, the Lord had me look up the definition of duty, okay, in the Merriam-Webster. Now, when you read Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, it mentions that word. So now I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna start, let me see. I'll start at verse 11. The words of the wise are as goads and as nails fastened by the master of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. And further, by these, my son, be abomished, admonished of many make of making many books there is no end, and much study is weariness of the flesh. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High, and keep his commandments, for it is the whole duty of man. All right. Now, the whole duty of man is to do what he commands us to do, right? Okay. But when you go into that word duty, like I said in Merriam-Webster, it goes into noun. It says conduct due to parents and superiors, respect. Definition 2, obligatory task. It's obligation. It's an obligation that you have. It's a task that you have to do. Conduct service or functions that arise from one's position. Okay? So your position in this ministry is what you're doing, is your duty. Okay? If you're a prophet, if you're a man of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, if you're the 144,000, you're going to be a prophet. Your duty is to do what? To study and to preach the word, to prophesy, to go out to the highways and hedges, to make lessons, feed the sheep. Okay, that's why Yahushua told Peter. All right, he told him 3 times so you can get the memo. All right, real quick. And that's a commandment right there in itself. All right. I'm going to grab it real quick. Let me see. It's in the book of John, chapter 21 and verse 17. Now, let me jump up a bit. All right, it says John 21 and 15. So when they had dined, Yahushua said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? He said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my lambs. All right. Now, this is Yahushua telling Peter to do so. The head of the church. Remember, Peter is the head of the church. All right. So if the head of the church has to do something, okay, he's going to teach what? He's going to tell the rest of the congregation to do what? The same thing. Because really, Yahushua is speaking to Peter right here, but the context now is speaking to the whole body, okay, the whole church, you know, the whole elect. As Lord, when we be those men. It says of verse 16, he said to him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my sheep. So now he said it again, Do you love me? Peter again, yes, Lord, like you know that I love you, you know. Yahweh said, like, okay, if you love me so much, feed my sheep, you know. So if you want to show your love for Yahweh Shai, for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai and his sacrifice, you gotta do what? You gotta feed his sheep. And who is his sheep? The nation of Israel. It says, he said unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? So Peter was, a little kind of offended a little bit. He's like, man, like you ask me the third time if I love you? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest I love thee. Yahushua said unto him, feed my sheep. So he said it three times, man. All right? Three times to really get the memo. And it's not like he said it, one time and then, the next hour and then, 2 hours after that. No, it was back to back to back. Okay? Yahushua said it back to back to back. And he reiterated the same point three times to feed his sheep. You know, it says, actually, that's it. That's all I wanted from that. All right, now, like I said, it's gonna be a quick hit, so I don't really got many scriptures lined up, just through the spirit. But going back to Ecclesiastes 12, going back to the point in verse 13, it says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter." All right, it fear the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai and keep His commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. Again, going into that word duty. Okay, there's some more definitions. It says assigned service or business, active military service, a moral or legal obligation, the force of moral obligation. You see, it says the service required as of an electric machine under specific conditions. Tell us that's not talking about us now, man. The service required under specific conditions. All right. And that's exactly what the Lord is telling us to do. You know, he's telling us to do this. This is our service that is required. Okay, under these specific conditions. And what are the conditions, bro? We're in hell right now. We're in captivity still. It's not the harsh bondage that we were in 300 for those 350 years. Okay, but we're still in captivity. Our people are still through. Our people are still, going to fuck off. Our women are still cursed. Jake is a damn demon. Alright, it's all fucked up. Okay. Now I'm gonna go to the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4 in verse 1. I charge thee before, Slaki, I charge thee therefore before the Most High, and the Lord Yahushai HaMashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Alright, right. Yahushai is gonna be at that judgment seat. Okay, right next to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. All right, and he's going to judge all the dead and his appearing and his kingdom. Okay, so when he comes back, he's going to cast judgment. All right, that's why the scriptures say. Let me grab that real quick. I believe it's in Revelation 12. Let me see. Um, yeah, Revelation 12, verse. I'll start at 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they love not their lives unto the death. That's speaking of the elect, okay? The elect that are on the earth now, the elect that are doing what the Lord has commanded of us. All right, the hopeful elect. We're gonna overcome this damn devil by the blood of Yahweh and his sacrifice, what he did for us, for the nation of Israel, and right now for the 1/3 of the Yasharala and the elect. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Okay, so that's speaking of not only the actual angels and all those, Okay, but also speaking of us, all right, speaking faithfully, that be a part of that number of the elect, the 1/3 of the Yasharala. Okay, but our mindset is of that of the heavens right now. Okay, we're not attached to this world. So when it says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, it's speaking of it says, and ye that dwell in them. Okay, so we're rejoicing at this. We're rejoicing at the fact that Yahweh Shai is coming back. When we see that, when we see the skies crack, when we see the tribulation that's coming, when we're seeing the prophecies coming to pass, we see all those things and we're rejoicing because we're of a heavenly mindset. That's why the scriptures say, be ye separate or holy. Okay, it says, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the seal Salakia, and of the sea. For the devils come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time, right? So to all the 2/3 of our people and the heathen who are dwelling on this earth, who don't have that holy mindset, which the heathen are incapable of having, but the 2/3 of our people who are destined for destruction, you're dwelling on this earth, you're so attached to this earth, so it's going to be woe unto you. Okay, and woe pretty much means death and destruction. Okay, because this Esau, uh, this Esau character, okay, he's gonna he's ramping it up. Even now we see it. Okay, this dude Trump has been very bold, very proud. Okay, against these other nations, against Iran. Okay, because this damn devil is uh proud as hell, man. Now I'm gonna jump down to verse 17. It says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed which kept the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of Yahushai and Mashiach, right? And that woman is referring to Israel, okay? Because the dragon was, the Roman Empire, okay? But that dragon, now is the Babylon, okay? So that dragon that was wroth with the woman, meaning, this Esau is now pretty much wroth with us right now and want to make war with the remnant of her seed, meaning the elect, because this book goes from time periods, so it'll jump from the past. That's why in the beginning it starts off speaking of Israel, okay, speaking of the 12 tribes, and then it jumps to the time of Herod when he was king, okay, which we know that the Edomites put Herod king. Okay, they put Herod king over the Jews. Okay, over Jake. All right, but it says when Herod was or when the dragon was seeking to devour the child as soon as it was born. All right, pursuant to Revelation 12 and 4. That's speaking of the time where Herod was pretty much trying to kill Yahushua as soon as he was born, because Yahushua is our deliverer. That's why the woman was travailing to be delivered. Okay, and you can read about that in the book of Matthew chapter 2. Okay, and then right here in verse 17 it jumps to now, this time. It says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. Who's that remnant? Okay, that's the elect. That's the 1/3 of the Asherah, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. And what is that testimony? Okay, when you jump down to Revelation 19 and 10, I believe. Let me grab that real quick. Yeah, Revelation 19 and 10, it says, and I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. It's like it. See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. Okay, so those that it's speaking of in Revelation 12 and 17, that have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach are the same ones that have the spirit of prophecy, tying back to what? Our whole duty. Okay? Our whole duty is to keep the commandments. Okay, and the Lord had commands us to feed his sheep, as he said, okay, and to be diligent in this truth. Okay, because why? Why would the Lord, you know, make such a harsh punishment for those who are lukewarm if he didn't care, if he didn't need us to be like that? Okay? The scriptures speak about lukewarm. He will spew out of his mouth. Where is that? Um, Let me see. Because when he was speaking of the to the seven churches, one of them was lukewarm. Okay. Let me see real quick where it is. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Revelation chapter 3 in verse. I'll start in verse uh 15 because this is referring to the church in um damn I don't know Laodicea. Okay, but it's also can be applied now because of those jigs are in the same spirit as being lukewarm, where you're gonna get spewed out of the Lord's mouth. Revelation 3 and 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert, Slakia. I would thou wert cold or hot. So Yahushua is saying, look, like I know you're not on fire for me, and I know you're not doing nothing. You haven't completely forsaken me, but you're half-assing it. So Yahushua pretty much saying, I'd rather you do nothing at all or be on fire than half-ass it. It says, so then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. You see? Because why? The Lord does not need servants who are not willing to put everything on the line, because those are not faithful servants. If you're not willing to risk everything, then you're gonna gain nothing. Okay? And us being the men of the Lord, we have this spirit. We have the spirit of prophecy. Okay, because the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua has been given unto us that we can go into this book and understand it, and we can watch breakdowns and understand the breakdowns and grasp them. You see, and we are able to do what? The commandment of the Lord, because He commanded what? What did He command us? Speaking of the bridegroom. Okay, real quick. Okay, let me see, where is that? I know it's in Matthew. Uh, bear with me, Baba Kisha. Matthew is the first book of the New Testament, so it's gotta be somewhere in here. See, Matthew 22. Yeah, Matthew 22 and verse. Oh, damn. Maybe that's how long these chapters were. Yeah, Matthew 22 and uh verse 9. Okay, I'll start at verse 6. Now this is in red letter. Okay. Matter of fact, I'll start at verse 1. I'll jump down to verse 6. And Yahushua answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son. Okay. So again, Yahushua is speaking in parables because why also did he speak in parables? So that only they that were given uh that to hear would hear it. Okay, because his disciples, Yahushua's disciples, the disciples asked him like, "Why are you speaking in parables? Like, we could understand you." That's why they're asking like, "Why do you speak to them in parables?" Because they understood what Yahushua was trying to say. Okay, and just like us, the book, the Bible is full of uh imagery and metaphors and history and through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua through starting with Abba Bivens on down into the Great Millstone with Elder Apostle Tahar, Elder Apostle Gabar, Elder Apostle Ramla, Elder Apostle Racha, and all the elders of Great Millstone, on down to the brothers and on down to those who follow the ministry who are following the doctrine of Great Millstone, we can understand it. All right, but anyways, now I'm jumping down to verse 6. It says, and the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. That's going into pretty much the persecution. It says, And when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he went forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Right. Because Yahushua is going to do, yeah, this is pretty much what Yahushua is going to do, because he's going to burn what? Babylon the Great. Then said he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Verse 9, here's the point. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. You see? So we're going out to the highways and hedges, and we're gathering those that are bid to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with all guests. You see? Because why? Because sometimes there may be a bad apple or something, but they'll get sifted out eventually. You see? Now, when you jump down to verse, um, you look at that when you jump down to verse 12, it says, and he said unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to his servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. And there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, because he didn't have the sincerity of the truth. So he may have heard it, he might have, heard it and followed it for a period of time, but he wasn't really ever sincere like that. He never really left the world like that. You're still getting bugged out haircuts, okay, and you're still, you shouldn't be getting lineups, and you're still getting lineups. You got an obligation to do when you're out at a bar rather than making videos or rather than being with the brothers. You going off, that's not being sincere, okay? And the Lord will cast you into outer darkness. Okay, weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's you know, that's very harsh. It says verse 14, for many are called, but few are chosen. You see, there you go. Because many people are called into this ministry. Why? Because it said, I just read it to you in verse 10 that they gathered both bad and good. So you can hear the calling and you can be, quote unquote, sincere for a period of time. But if you're not really sincere, then you're not going to be lasting long in this ministry. You know? That's why many are called, but few are chosen, and we are striving to be what? Of those chosen. That's what the scriptures say, make your calling and election sure. And it also says, hold fast what thou hast, that no man take thy crown. So Yahweh Shai has always told us to be sincere. This is our whole duty. Okay, going back to the title of the lesson. Now I'm gonna close out the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 1. I charge thee, therefore, before the Most High and the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Exactly. All right. That means all the time. Okay, and a long suffering means to be able to suffer for long. Okay, being able to do it for a long period of time. Okay. It says for the time will come where they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itchy ears. Yeah, because they're not gonna want to hear this word. And we're seeing it now. They don't want to hear this word. They'd rather hear a bullshit pastor tell them all sweet stuff. Okay, or they'd rather make up their own fucking bugged out religion. It says, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. Exactly. Okay, and also here I want to grab this before I close out. But Slakia, but watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry. That's exactly what we're doing. Okay, we're making full proof of our ministry. Okay, and that's how you got to do it. That's how you make full proof of your ministry. You just have to do it. Okay, it is our whole duty of man to uh um to follow the Lord's commandment. All right, so that's pretty much the lesson, man. Lord willing, it was edifying. Lord willing, it was uplifting. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakodash. Double honor yet again to my elders and apostles of the great millstone who rule, who teach well, who taught me this truth and sincerity. Peace, blessings, salutations unto the hopeful elect, wa'akwat, who are listening in truth and sincerity. Hey, with that I say, Shalom.